Hello, guys. Another Friday. Ah, having my little espresso. This is the way we Cubans drink coffee. Little, a little cup like this, because if you drink a full-size cup, you won't sleep for 3 days. I used to have some Peruvians when I was in school. I had some Peruvians uh, roommates, and they call me Cuba. Say, hey, Cuba, or Cuba. I said, Cuba, let me try some of that Cuban coffee. And I said, are you sure? Well, yeah, let me try. So I made him a cup. And the guy drank it, and he said, a few days later, he said, I haven't slept in 3 days. He's like, since I drank that coffee. So I'm gonna smoke today an Onyx, and for Gone Again in Montana, he's a cigar smoker, uh, I gather, and I'm gonna recommend this cigar, this Onyx. The aroma, it's beautiful. The blend, there are about five different cigars in this cigars, five from five different regions. That's my point. And one thing that I found out, people are having confusion. Let's call it. They're confused about keeping the cigar in a wrapper or out of the wrapper when you have it in the humidor. And some people say, well, no, you don't keep it in there because it's going to dry up in the plastic and da da da. And it turns out that this is not plastic. This is cellophane, and cellophane breathes. So I keep all my cigars in the plastic, and never has an issue. See, it's soft. If it was tightly wrapped, and this was folded and taped and everything, if it was tightly wrapped with plastic, it wouldn't be able to breathe. So cellophane, it helps the cigar breathe. And so the the topic of today is when it rain, when it rains and pours. I lost my little puppy, I call her a puppy. She was already 12, but she acted like a puppy. It was a beautiful little dog, female, that she loved me to death, and me too to her. I lost her, going on 3 weeks now, 3.5, I think. And so we got the ashes here and everything. And then I said, okay, we gotta keep going, move on. I take my boy. Uh, I call him. His name is Chester. Actually his name on paper is Winchester, but Chester for short. And out of endearment, I call him Macho, which means male, or Papa. And Papa is the one we use the most. We hug him, we kiss him, we call him Papa Boy, that kind of thing. He's very loving. I take him to the park running in the fields where I usually take him. Uh, and just when we're turning around to come back, he gets into this brush, and I hear this rattler, and I yell, "Get out of there! Get out of! Come here! Come here!" So he comes out, and I look around, and he seems okay. So I said, "Whoosh!" Because he got bit once by a little rattler, and those little ones, I hear that when they bite, they just inject everything, all the poison. So he was running when I called him once, We went to a different area. It was open. You could see him. And I whistled, and he came running. And in mid stride, something happened with this. Like he went like this, and I thought he sprained an ankle or something, because he was kind of limping a little bit. So we went over there. We rushed over there, and he only walked like 8 feet. He laying on the floor, and he started yelling, screaming, ah, ah, ah. And I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And then I see his paw, his ankle here, and he got bit. You see the little holes and the bleeding, and I'm going, "Shit, it's a snake, God." So he's 55 pounds. I had to pick him up. I couldn't let him run or walk, because the more uh, movement, the blood is pumping, it'll get to his heart, his brain, the vitals, organs. So I picked him up, but he was very heavy. Halfway down to the truck, I had to put him down for a minute, and kind of, he walked maybe 5 feet, and he was limping with his leg up in the air, and he was in pure pain. And so I picked him up again, and we took him to the truck, and straight to the emergency, and we left him there overnight. That little thing, the little bite, cost us, what was it? $1,800. This is about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So we've been giving him the snake uh, um, anti venom medicine, the shot every year around August, every August. So my wife takes him to the vet. She has a schedule. She's very punctual on things like that, and the dog gets his shot every year. So when he came out of the bush, and he seemed normal, he wasn't screaming like before, and he wasn't paralyzed, because he couldn't really walk that time. And I said, come on, let's get out of here. And I hear that still going, freaking snake. So we walked down this tight trail. It's a little shortcut that we took. We went to the main trail, and then he laid under a tree, because he doesn't really like the sun that much, and he laid under the tree waiting for me to catch up. So when I get there, I was kind of kidding around. I said, "Did you get bit, you dummy? What happened?" And he seemed normal. He seemed okay. So, but then I look at his paws, his feet, and I see little specks of red blood. And I'm getting, "Did you get?" I'm talking to the dog. "Did you get bit? What happened?" So I'm going like this, but I don't see any more blood. It's just little. So I say, "What happened? Did he get in a thorn, or something he got pinched? He got poked by a thorn, or anything?" Then I looked at his face, and his nose was just bleeding profusely. I'm going, "Oh my God!" Then they hit him, and the snout right there, right there. This is the black snout, and is here and here, right there, boom, and they were this wide apart. But he wasn't acting up like he was in pain or anything. And I said, "Well, we gotta go to the vet." So I put the leash on him, and I'm rushing down. I'm walking him, because being that he's not in agony, I figured that maybe the snake hit a cartilage, or an area where the poison is not messing him up or anything. So I call my wife, and I say, "Hey, we have an emergency. He got bit again." And she says, "Okay, run to well, I'll meet you there." So we went there, and the vet checked him out. He goes, "Yeah, he got bit, and he got bit. We saw the pokes. That snake must have had a big head, because the distance is a good, I would say, inch and a half to inch and 3/4. That was a big-headed snake, a mature snake. So a rattler, and then he checked them out, everything else, and he said, "Okay, we don't have the anti venom. We have to get it from this emergency place, because they said that they couldn't really treat him." And I said, "Well, listen, we don't want to go to that emergency place, because it's very expensive. Can you do it?" And he said, well, let me see if I can get the medicine. So he called, and they said, yeah, they could sell it to him. But then the problem was that the the rules are, or the recommendation for the anti-venom for a dog is that depending on the weight, being that he's over 50, he lost a couple of pounds. I think it's 53, maybe 54. Oh, crap. Okay, later. Come here, boy. Okay. So I'm almost out of the cigar. I've been waiting for this gardening to finish. He's still making a racket. Damn, man, this guy's noisy. He's blown like 3 times already. There he goes again. Anyway, so we see if I can remember what I was saying. So they gave him the injection, and the vet said that because of his weight, they needed 2 shots. So it's $900 a shot vaccine. Then antibiotics and inflammation. I think it was steroids for the inflammation. He's got his nose got swollen and his neck got swollen, and it's going down. So last night I stayed with him in the den. I slept on the sofa to keep an eye on him because the it could have gotten to his esophagus and hard for him to breathe. So every time I heard a noise, I was just trying to look at him, and I didn't put him in the kennel. I let the kennel open. So he would go out and sleep on the floor and then go back into the house. He likes the kennel. Got a nice pillow and everything. And so he's doing fine. He's sitting out here now on the outside here. So $2,800 with everything. And we picked him up around 5 o'clock. I'm telling you, the veterinarians make more money than doctors because you have no choice. If you care for your animal, you gotta pay, and you pay cash, pay, and write them a check or put them on a card. And man, it's expensive. It's very expensive. There's no insurance because we looked into the insurance also, and the insurances are very picky, and they're not gonna cover for this. They're not gonna cover for that. So the best thing is that one of the vets told us just put the money in the bank for make an account for the dog, and then if anything needed, you got the money sitting there, you can use that money. But the insurance also, they're a ripoff because when it's time to need it, to use it, they don't want to pay for half the stuff. So and between him and the little girl, the bear paw, we already spent like 5 grand. And I was talking to the mechanic the other day, boat mechanic. He said he had a dog that got heart issues, and the body will get it wasn't working right, so the body got full of fluids. They're gonna have to go and drain it, and every time. And there were 2 Chihuahuas, and finally they said, "Look, the dog's not gonna make it. We need to put her down." And he said, "No, I'm gonna take her home. She's gonna die with us, just like we did." And the uh, the dog died, and then 2 days later, the boy dog died of loneliness, heartbroken, because they're used to being together all the time, playing with each other. They got them since they were puppies, and he said that he spent $7,000 on that dog. It's hard for an elderly person to have a dog for companionship, an animal that you adore and you treat like a baby, like it's part of the family, and then they start getting sick, and if you're on a fixed income, living on Social Security, some people just can't afford to take care of the animal, and the animal dies, and then what happens to the person? The person just is heartbroken. I feel bad for those little old ladies that go through the same thing we did. And we call the Parks and Recreation complaining, And they said, well, we can't reimburse you. I said, well, there's a bunch of snakes now that you guys don't even put a sign up. You should say, snake area, or watch out for snakes, something. Because there's also horses that go through there. They could get bitten on the feet. And they said, no, we can't do anything about it. They've been taking out, when there's a complaint, they go look for it. They take them out and they relocate them someplace else. They take them out to the desert, I guess. I don't know. So we have to see. We just gotta take care of this one here, and that's it. No more dogs. Can't afford this massive expenditure. I love animals, but that's a hard hit on the pocketbook and on the heart. It's very painful. So for people that have dogs, I I feel for you. I know what it's like to have something like that happen. So now I put up my radar uh, for sale, and a day after, I get a call, and the um, the guy says, "I'd like to see your radar," and I said, "Well, it's on the boat. If you want to see it operating, come down." So he went down. It turns out the guy's Cuban too, and he lives on a boat, on a 45 foot yacht, I think, with his wife. They have traveled the Caribbean, traveled South Carolina, North Carolina, Panama, Mexico, sailboat. And they sold the sailboat, and now they're in a power boat, diesels. And they like it. I'm going to go see it. I'm going to check it out. And I sold the radar. So all I have to do now is take it apart. He gave me a down payment. I sold it for a very good price, very good price. And he went there and turned it on, operated, hit all the buttons, make sure everything was working. And we left it running. We were having a conversation for 25 minutes or so, and we left it running, and it was running in perfect condition. So he's getting a good unit for a very good price. So now mine arrived, um, but I think it was Monday. Guy called me at the shop. Hey, the radar you order is here. So I went and picked it up, and it's sitting in the truck. It's a big box. So I need to start taking things off and reinstalling the new one. Uh, Also installed the. I'm having a problem with the engines. I took out the mechanical pumps, that they were old, and I said, I'm gonna go electrical. I'm gonna put electric fuel pumps. I installed them. Uh, if one of them is pumping, but the carburetor and the carburetor it's clean. It's just reinstalled with new gaskets and everything. So it's running, but then it turns off. I don't know if it needs an adjustment. All kinds of shit now. So, and then the other one, for some reason, is not pumping. So I talked to a shop, and they told me, what do you put it? Where did you locate it? And I said, well, it's right next to the tank, right there level. He goes, well, it needs to be below to the top of the tank. And I said, well, the only thing I could do is to install it that low is to put a piece of plywood. So I attached a piece of plywood a foot long. I brought it down a foot, reconnected with the hose and everything. It's got power. Turn it on, the switch, you can hear humming. It's supposed to be pumping, and it's not bringing gas up to the filter. I put a new filter also, so I can see the gas coming before the carburetor. It's a glass one. They're small. They're about this size. And there's no fuel coming up. So I got to work on that. I'm gonna go there tomorrow and work on that. And I was there yesterday. I was gonna stay, but being that the dog got bitten and it needs to be watched, and keep an eye on him, I told my wife, no, you stay in bed. I'm gonna sleep on the sofa. Keep an eye on him. So I had to come back for that. And now that he's fine, I'm gonna take off tomorrow morning and see if I can get anything running, get those engines running. I'm getting fed up working on that boat, man. So much problems, and then the money doesn't. It keeps bleeding me dry. And you know what they say about having a boat? It's like money. It's a hole where you put money in it. Yeah, that's true. So if it ain't one thing, it's another. That's why I say when it rains, it pours. Hey, Papa. He's asleep. Yeah, and needs all the rest he can get. He's very peaceful when he sleeps. He's just very adorable looking. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I'm gonna make a video about that. Um, and now trying to figure out the problems with the fuel not going up. Maybe there's air coming into the line somewhere. So I gotta check all the hoses, which are new. I gotta check all the fittings, all the clamps, make sure they're tight. There's no air. And on the other one, you see the fuel coming up right away, go woof, and it fills up the filter, but it runs and then it runs funny, and then it revs up, and then it revs down, and then it turns off. I turn it back on, it revs up, and then higher, and then it goes up. And at one point, I had it up to almost 2,000 RPMs, and I said, if there's any air, let the fuel fill in everything. And it was running, and all of a sudden, it just whoops and died. So I have an idea what it could be on that engine in particular is that the tubing that goes into the tank might have a little loose because the tubing was loose. I put an epoxy on it, make sure it's maybe that epoxy is not really sealing that well, and there's air going into the tube into the line, and then it loses the pressure, and the fuel drops back down to the tank from the hose. It just drains back down. So I gotta check into that. So and I'm sore from climbing up and coming down and going up, turning the, I need somebody there to help me with the either down in the hole or up in the fly bridge, um, to observe everything while it's running or trying to turn on, and see if that's if we can fix that so I can take it out for a test drive. I gotta have trust in the system, otherwise I can't take anybody fishing. I got a bunch of friends that are waiting, you know. The tuna is coming up, the albacore is also coming up. It'll be here by next month or so. Right now they're getting it down in Baja, in the Coronado, I think it is, and they just follow the temperature. So when it gets warmer, they'll be up here. So June, July is going to be the time. And and now after I took off the front panels, uh, the plexi, the plastic, plexiglass, whatever you call that. I took it to the upholstery so I can put new plastic because they're all cracked and everything. And so the whole front now is exposed to my electronics. Either they're covered though, they have it covered with leather. But then now there's a rainstorm next week. It's gonna rain for 3 days in a row. So man, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Jesus Christ. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you go. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.